lots of iron and stuff like that. You out running in the riverbeds and stuff like that. Mm-mm.
I have not done that.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about some ways that you train. This is primarily focused basically at the psychosocial aspect of the game. Because I think that that's the most neglected piece of the game. So, and you guys all know me from my former life, and what I'm basically doing now is called Journey Sports Consulting. I'm a private consultant. My goal is to share my 40 years of experience and my training with ski clubs and with individual athletes, and particularly coaches, education. So, my graduate degree that most of you know is in sports psychology, and so that's what I primarily target when I'm talking to athletes these days. But Karen Harjo reminded me the other day, she said, well, you should do a little coaching on the side because you were a pretty good coach at the time. So, so I'm kind of doing all things sports. That's sort of where I've landed. And, you know, Pick and I worked together. Pick was the regional coach actually before Karen was the regional coach when he went to the national team for a while. So like he said, we've been around each other for a long time. And what they've asked me to do is basically just talk about some generalities about where you guys are. And I would hope that you would ask questions, because I'm going to say stuff that you're going to go, what? Really? No. That's not what my experience is. So don't be shy. You know, I'm pretty open to stuff, but my approach to the whole thing is that sports are games. This sport is a game, and it's a game that's meant to be played. And as a game, it has really a lot of mental facets to it. So this is me, that's you. Basically, so many of you have heard me talk before, once or twice, and if it's redundant a little bit, that's okay. Repetition by itself is a good thing. Excuse my voice. And repetition without repetition is something that we try to achieve when we're teaching sports skills. So, if you don't know it, you chose the hardest sport to prepare for that exists. And I know that because I've studied sport my whole life. I played a lot of sports when I was a kid, football, baseball, skiing, those kinds of things. But why do you think I say alpine skiing is the hardest sport? What might go into that?
Factors you can't control.
Chance, yeah.
It's like you have to be physically and mentally strong and you have to be able to succeed. You know?
Very much so. But lots of sports are like that, huh? Lots of sports. On the physical side, you know, basically on the physical side, think about the demands of strength and power and the development that you have to put into large muscle groups. Yeah, big demands. You know, G-forces, you know, super G-turn, G-forces get pretty strong, so you've got to be really strong. But then think about what you're doing. You're trying to balance on small millimeter, sub-millimeter edges in really, really hard snow at high speeds on things that undulate. It's not a smooth surface. You're not playing on a basketball court. So you have to have really fine motor control as well. So just in the physical arena, you have to be really strong and really powerful. And you have to have really a lot of fine motor skills. So just in that area, you can see that there's a lot of different demands. So when I said you're all in the gym pumping iron, right? And I asked how many of you are out running in the dry stream bed. Well, that's one of the best agility drills that exists. You know, just being in the environment. Think about running from rock to rock. You know, we do a lot of things that in the environment now, like we spend some time ice skating. I used to do a lot of ice skating with people that I was preparing because of the similarities with the edges and things. But it was on a flat surface, so it didn't really get to it. And boulder running isn't, you know, I mean, it isn't the end all of it, but it's a great, great agility drill. And one of the kinds of things that you have to do is you have to do a huge amount of variety of training physically. You know, you have to be flexible, yeah? You have to be powerful, you have to be strong, you have to have good agility. What else? What else?
Be smart.
Smart, well, back to the mental again, you have to be smart, yeah.
You gotta be like willing to take chances.
Risk,
A little bit more risky.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Risk is key. Risk is key to learning. You have to stretch your learning zone. We're going to talk toward the end about deep practice and deliberate practice and the flow states. But a big part of that is getting into the learning zone, which means you have to go a little beyond your comfort zone. You have to keep stretching your capabilities. But if you think about the kinds of things that you have to do, the domains we used to call them, we had a concept of competence, and we talked about the different athletic domains that you had to be prepared in, competent in, and striving for excellence in. So you've got your physical factors, you've certainly got health factors that above and beyond the physical fitness and strength factors. You know, things like fuel. You know, you have to have a good nutritional plan. Social factors. Development is a profoundly social activity. You're in an individual performance sport, right? Carried out in a team environment, right? So the only time you're by yourself, really, is while you're making turns. And whether that's in a course, or in a practice session, or out on the mountain, or doing anything, that's the only time you're by yourself. The rest of the time, you're riding up the lift with your buddy, you know, you're in a team meeting, you're riding in the vans, you're doing all this social stuff. And as human beings, what year are you guys in? Are you guys in high school? Are you seniors, juniors?
Junior high school.
Huh?
I'm a senior.
Okay.
I'm 96 now.
We've graduated.
Okay, are you in college?
No.
Taking classes?
I'm
No?
not.
Okay. All right. But that's, you're surrounded by people all the time. And you've got to communicate with your coaches all the time. You got to communicate with all your performance group. So did you read the story about the high school freshman in New Jersey? The outstanding football and wrestling star?
Mm-hmm.
Did you read that story?
Yeah.
Did you read how many coaches he has?
Yeah, it's unreal.
10. The guy's got 10 coaches. He's in high school. He plays high school sports. He's got 10 specialist coaches because he's trying to prepare in all these areas. And he's two sports. So, you know, you got to cut him a little slack because he's doing two sports. So he's got 10 different specialist coaches. He's got a nutritionist. Yeah? He's got a strength coach. He's got a speed coach. He's got technique coaches. He's got position coaches. He's got what's called a mindset coach. So that, I interpret that to be his sports psychology, his mental side of the game coach. But he's got all these specialists because he's trying to deal with all this stuff. You know, Jeff says we're going to throw the calendar up on the wall. That's a management factor. How many of you have already looked at the calendar and have some kind of an idea about what your plan is? Okay, are you for events or are you specialists yet?
4.
Okay. 4, 3. You don't have any slalom skis? Okay. All right. All right. But that's good. You know, being a well-rounded athlete, you've heard this from your coaches, I'm sure, but everything contributes to everything. Being able to deal with all of the forces, and I don't talk about it like like slalom, GS, speed. I talk about it in short radius, long radius, and medium radius turns. That's the way I think about it. And, well, by the way, why do we turn? Why do you turn skiing?
Make our own gates.
Why do you have gates?
To control speed.
You're on to something. To control speed. If you look at a little kid that's maybe in his first week of skiing, that's out there on the bunny slope, little kid, you know, a meter high. That kid's in a death wedge, and he's going straight down the hill. If you ever want to see something fascinating, go down to the park down there and look at those kids on that tubing hill. And what are they doing? Well, look at tubing hills in general. What are they doing?
Straight
They're
down.
going straight. Because what you have to deal with, the only real force you have to deal with for momentum is gravity, right? And gravity's going to drag you down the hill. And that's fun. That's the fun of skiing, is taking advantage to gravity. So having said that, why do we turn? Control speed. Because if you just went straight down the hill, the larger you get, the more mass you have, the steeper the hill, the harder the snow, the faster you go. If you just went straight, you'd kill yourself after a while. You know, that's why we have turns. So this is paradoxical sport, right? Because we put obstacles up to make you turn, to make you go slow, and then we try to teach you how to go fast going slow. If we just did skiing, we'd just go straight. We'd all be speed skiers. You know? I'm not going anywhere with this, it's just a point.
Yeah.
You know, that's just a point. So when we start teaching you how to go fast going slow, we teach the different radius of turns. And you know, they're different. The forces that you use when you run slalom, short radius turns, you're a lot more internally motives. You do a lot more internal activity turning short than you do turning long. And when you do turning long, you have more gravitational forces pulling you down. You're going faster. You have stronger G-forces. You have more centripetal and centrifugal force pulling on you. You have all of those kind of things. In slalom, you have more drag, right? You have more friction. You have more of those kinds of things to deal with. The point is this is complex. So talking about the management factors, you're dealing with where you're going and what you're trying to do. You're dealing with your purpose statement. How many of you work with sports psychologists? Anybody? You? Good. Regularly?
Probably like once every like 2 weeks. It's definitely slowed down a little bit. And it should be going up more.
And you're at Romar now.
I was Roman. I'm Snowbird now.
Oh, you went back to Snowbird?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. So you've got physical factors, health factors, social factors, sport-specific skills, which is skiing, all of that kind of stuff to deal with, management factors, and then you get to mental factors. You finally get to mental factors. And I'll tell you what, in the mental side of performance, talking about things like performance on demand, like the psychology of performance, positivity versus negativity, the sociological factors, how you interact within your culture and your team, and those kinds of things. You need to think about that. And you need to be a leader. Yeah? You need to be a leader, and you need to be a follower. You are trying to build your performance team of those kinds of people, like your strength and conditioning coach. And for many of you in the program, these are the same guy or gal. your strength and conditioning coach, your nutritional coach, your mental coach, your technical coach, but all of those kind of roles are involved with somebody playing those roles. And you're all old enough now that all that stuff that we used to talk about being your own best coach, you're all well on that road, I hope. Because I hope you're aware individuals. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But you think about the mental tools of performance, you know, the kind of areas that we talk about, and I got the Navy SEALs over there on the left-hand side because, do you know much about the Navy SEALs? How many people go into Navy SEAL selection and how many people come out?